me just alert them for coming in. And you prefer that I moderate, calling people, things like that?
Please.
Okay. Will do.
Sure.
Coach, we're ready when you are.
You can go.
You have one of these on your desk if for some reason you need it. It's set to Portuguese if you need to listen. You can just hold it up to it here. And it will translate to Portuguese, but they'll all
In
ask
general,
questions.
they will ask in English.
All in English.
English, French, or
Okay, oh, amazing. Thank you everyone for coming to the Match Day -1 press conference for Mamelodi Sundowns. We're joined by the head coach of the club. If you have a question, please raise your hand and we'll call on you. And please wait for the microphone. Who would like to begin? Start here on the front.
Coach Masandawana from SABC Sports. Congratulations, by the way, on winning the first game against Ulsan. We were just talking to the players now, asking them about just how much does it do for their morale and mindset. Because you probably would agree, not a lot of people gave Sundowns a chance coming into this Club World Cup, but for them to be sitting top of the group at the moment gives them an opportunity to go through.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gents, for being here. I said it the first day, the first press conference, and today again, thank you very much for FIFA for organizing such a wonderful event. And obviously for us, Mamelodi Sundowns, that we earned the right to be here. It's a wonderful pleasure to have been profiting from the organization, from the possibility also of competing in such level. Going straight to the question, and thank you very much for it. Obviously, that the first thing we get immediately out of a victory on the first match is that the group stage will be inside until the end. So we have 2 matches to play and to fight for a position where we can go through on the group. What is wonderful, obviously, also having the chance to win the first match in a competition like a World Cup of clubs for Sundowns with this group of players and the group of coaches and everybody involved. It's also a mark for sure. We are very proud of it. But what happens is that we opened perspectives in front of us, and from the fact that we opened those perspectives, we also would like to make out of them not dreams but objectives. It means directly that we have to fight for the position that we have a chance to do. We know what we have ahead, me particularly, probably much better than other people. I know very well what is Borussia Dortmund. I'm European, so I know the reality much better. I know very well Fluminense because I've been traveling to Brazil to watch football for a long time, so I know the level where Brazilian football put it in the last 10 years, let's say. That is a really big change of paradigm regarding their football and the quality and the level. And so, but this is fantastic. This is absolutely fantastic because what we also want as a club is that we fight for the rights that we acquire, but we also want to develop. And being in an organization like this, competing with the best ones, will ultimately and at least provide us growth and challenges for the future. Tomorrow we have an opportunity, we see it as an opportunity of testing ourselves against the best ones. We proved we can be the best ones, or among the few that can speak for being the best ones in Africa, in the continent. We beat a strong team from Asia, and now we have the opportunity to fight against one of the strongest in Europe and one of the strongest in Brazil. So let's go for it with all the energy, all the pleasure, but also with all the strictness, the tactical approach, the level, because we know where we're going to be pushed to. We know very well where we're going to be pushed to.
Coach, you said already that you expect you're not going to see much of the ball tomorrow, so does that mean fairly drastic team changes? And just going back to your selection from the first game with picking someone like Keanu and obviously Temba coming in, how difficult How much time did you take over those choices? Was it quite an agonizing thought process to get to, especially bringing someone like Keanu in who hadn't played for such a long time?
Wonderful questions and points you're making on approaching the subject. You did. I would not say agonizing, but it's not easy to take sometimes decisions, and it can put us in a zone of uncertainty, let's say, of doubts, but that's exactly our job, is to make decisions, and there are moments you need to do them. You spoke about two completely different situations, the situation from Denver and the situation from Keanu. I already approached the situation from Denver. And what I said is clear. It's a process of development of the play itself towards the performance period. I remember there was a press conference in South Africa that I spoke about being ready to train and being able to perform, and that steps had to be done. Regarding Keanu, we know, and I think we also spoke about that in South Africa, Keanu, we know what player we took on the team. But he used one expression absolutely fantastic. I heard from him at the end of the game that it's so difficult in Sundowns sometimes, and that position is even more difficult. But we knew what we have. We know what we have, the different characteristics of the different players, and we are willing to use them when we feel they are up to the task. And also we needed to give him not the pressure, but the space of tranquility where he could express himself, develop, grow, and probably no one expected him to be here, and for sure not to put him to play, but that's exactly what I also said throughout the season, that it's not because he's not there that we don't trust. We know what we have. Let's hope he can continue to make a process of affirmation inside the team. But that had happened also with other players that are not being used so regularly that one moment from the other became clear. Regarding the fact of playing with the ball or without the ball, and the choices regarding that question, I think we really need to understand that it's not if we're going to play with or without the ball. We know that as more equal the teams are, the more they split the moments of the game. But we also know that we as South Africans, and being the strongest, one of the few strongest teams in Africa in general, throughout the season, we don't have a lot of games that we have an equal or an inferior moment of possession, let's say. What obviously will require from us, I think, mostly mentally, the capacity to strive, to be resilient and keep organized, even when you are just waiting for the moment to get the ball again. And on that moment, to keep the mindset of being what we are and having it and playing the way we usually do. We're going to play against a team that is very aggressive. It's mostly on our first third of the pitch. A team that scores 30% of their goals from counter-pressing. So moments where they don't mind losing the ball because they work hard to get it immediately and score from there. But we also know that we have many things to put on the pitch. And we need to have the right focus on that, so that it's not because there's one moment of the game that we also have to play, that the other moments of the game should not happen. They have to happen, and we have to highlight them. And I think that's why I speak about growth, because I know that we're going to receive stimulus of game that usually we don't have regularly in our league, even in the Champions League, except when we play away. But it doesn't mean that we cannot cope with those moments, but it probably is the biggest challenge, having a team that will counter-press in such a way that probably we never faced. That everybody said that the game between Borussia and Fluminense was not so high level in terms of physical demand, but then we see that Borussia made 298 pressure actions, what is particularly high. But that is exactly what we want, otherwise we would not be here. That's exactly how we want to be tested, because to be tested with teams that make us 150 pressers, we play PSL, and we need to submit ourselves to those tests and accept expecting to be competent and capable to cope and still play the ball. But we need to play it more quicker, we need to make more well-orientated receptions of the ball, play more forward, have a more time of passing, so the speed of the game must also increase for the team with the ball so that you can escape from those pressing moments. Unfortunately, it was a thing that we didn't do particularly well in the final of the Champions League, for example. But we need to grow from there, and we need to show ourselves in the biggest level now. So these competitions are also moments for football to develop and for us to take the development of the game ourselves for our future. And I hope and I believe that tomorrow we can show Mamelodi Sundowns in the level to compete with such requirements, let's say, restraints. But at the same time, my objective is that in the end of the game, whatever happens as a result, because the results can happen from one side and the other, is that we see Mamelodi Sundowns in the pitch and we can be recognized in the end of the game that we were playing against. It was not only Borussia Dortmund, it was Mamelodi Sundowns was playing the game. Because we are also here to stake ourselves as a club, as an identity, as a process, as the quality of the players, the coaches that work with them, and all the structure that for years is waiting for these moments. So I believe it will be a wonderful day.
We'll go here to the left.
Coach, from this time, in a unique situation where you could potentially even qualify tomorrow with a victory. Obviously, most media fans are going to look at the glass half empty and say this is a massive challenge for Sundowns, given the prestige of Borussia Dortmund, the size of the club. But you can also look at it half full and saying that Sundowns could qualify with knockout stages tomorrow. If you look at a team like Botafogo, who surprised PSG, does that give you some sense of idea of the possibilities of what could happen, looking at the glass half full instead of half empty?
Sometimes I'm accused to be negative. I heard already some people saying that that sometimes the coach it's not exactly that. I'm not negative. I'm very realistic regarding the things, and I'm not afraid to tell the things how they are. Because I also think people don't know Botafogo. But Botafogo was Brazilian champion and Copa Libertadores champion last year. People sometimes mistake a little bit the things, but anyway, they have only 28% ball possession in the game against PSG. So that result can happen once out of 10. What I mean is that in regular basis, the strongest will impose the strength. But outliers happen always. But those outliers happen when the mental conviction of the teams is so strong, their connection, emotional connection is so strong, that magic can happen. And that's what I would try to create as an ambience in the team. The level of ambition, of conviction, of determination, that also we find the right emotions to play such a game and produce a good result. But also everybody needs to understand exactly how to cope with the moments that those things happen, and those things don't happen because they may not happen. And not feel that it's because of that we are unsuccessful or we are not good enough. Because whatever happens from here till the end of the competition, that might happen in 2 games, in 3, in 4, or in 5. My players are high quality level players, and everybody around the structure is also high level quality people.
All right.
Coach, remind me, I stand to be corrected here, but when you were in South Africa, you mentioned that, given that the squad that you've taken, you would like to give everyone an opportunity to play, but to be talking now about the high level of the competition and the opportunities to progress, are you rethinking that now in terms of trying to stick with as close to a consistent lineup as possible?
Yeah, it's obviously very, very, very acceptable question regarding the fact that I stated that throughout the season several times, the fact that I have a lot of trust in all the players. I'm always trying to make good decisions based also on what we see from the players throughout the training sessions. Obviously that now we are at a moment that we don't train, we just recover. We made today's full recovery work for the players that played. Only 2 of them, because they asked to make the warm-up of the yesterday's training session, went on the pitch. The other they didn't even put the feet on the pitch. So just today we had during 40 minutes out of them 20 tactical work. It means that there is no opportunities for players to show much more. But also we know the players very well in the moment. So we know what each player can give us in the right moments. And despite whoever will start the game, that let's see, probably there will be some changes, but don't expect revolutions for sure. But despite whoever will start the game, we know what we have on the bench. And what these players or those players can introduce as variants on the game to cope with the moments that might be happening. We just have to have as a group, as a team, the right mindset to play these games and enjoy it. Enjoy it. Whatever moments we'll be leaving, the most difficult ones, the best ones, enjoy it. Enjoy it so that you feel alive and you keep yourself updating on the right emotions to have the right behaviors and produce the right results throughout the match. That is something that you cannot and never forget.
Anything else? Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.